What's up and welcome back to Kind of Funny's Pixar in Review, the final days of Pixar in Review. I want to miss you all.
Remember
I'm
me.
sure we'll find our
I
way
will
back
remember
here
you,
for
Nick. Thank
something.
you. That was
Remember me, Tim.
fantastic. As always, I'm Tim Geddes, joined by, it's Christmas in August, Joey Noel,
Hello.
the big dog, Kevin Coelho. Jesus Christ. I don't know, Kevin. I don't know. And of course, you're the producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Remember Andy. Oh, wait, Andy's here. What's up, Andy?
And joining us for the first time in a while, making his glorious return to Pixar in Review, it is the one, the only, Andy Cortez.
Un poco loco!
Nailed it. Nailed it.
I never in my life, Andy, thought there'd be a movie that focuses on Greedos as much as this.
So many
And
Greedos.
I remember seeing the theater for the first time and just being like, oh, a little piece of Andy will always live with me.
God damn, it's so good, dude.
I love it. I love
Nailed
it. This is Kind of Funny's In Review, where each and every week we get together and rank and review two different movie franchises. Last week, we just wrapped up Don't Breathe in Review. Here, we're continuing on with Pixar in Review. And later this week, we're beginning our journey with Scream in Review, which I am very, very excited to talk to people about, including James and Elise Willems. So that's going to be a whole ton of fun. Can't wait for that. If you can't wait for that, you can watch this show on youtube.com/kindoffunny and roosterteeth.com. If you want to get it as a podcast, just search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free and watch live as it's being recorded, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like our Patreon producer, Molecule, has done. Thank you so much, Molecule. Because of that, you won't have to listen to our ads about Canva and stamps. For everyone else, we'll tell you about those later. But for now, let's talk about Coco. With a runtime of 1 hour and 45 minutes, it was released on November 22nd, 2017. It was an active production between 2011 and 2017, making it the longest production schedule a Pixar movie has ever had. So that's kind of fun facts for you. It was directed by Lee Unkrich, an American director, film editor, screenwriter, and animator. He was a longtime member of the creative team at Pixar, where he started in '94 as a film editor. He later began directing, first as co-director of Toy Story 2, and he'd continued to go on to co-direct Monsters, Inc. and Finding Nemo. And then he made his solo directorial debut with Toy Story 3 before doing Coco. So this man's got the stuff, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What a
No
wonderful
wonder.
movie.
He's somebody Pixar wants to stick around for sure.
Well, after working at Pixar for 25 years,
Son of a
Unkrich
bitch.
retired in
Son of
January
a
2019
fucking bitch.
to spend more time with his family. So
It's
hey,
like I
he had a
planned
run. The music was done once again by who, Nick?
Paul Newman.
Michael Giacchino, the legend,
wow.
who actually makes a semi-cameo in this movie. The conductor of the orchestra during the
Yeah,
big
snaps his
Ernesto
thing.
thing,
Oh.
what was modeled after our boy Michael G. So that's pretty
Wow.
cool.
That's
fun.
really
Nick, would a conductor actually snap his stick like that? Is that,
That
like
is-
a move?
That is something we're taught, but it's only to be used in the rarest of circumstances.
Wow.
When you
Are
really
you a
wanna tell
conductor?
someone- I used to
he
conduct
was,
a band,
he
yeah.
was he did the triangle, remember?
Oh, that's no. Do I remember
So,
that? Maybe
Michael-
not.
No, Kevin just decides to muff jokes every once in a while. But yeah, I was in fact the conductor of the band for a long time.
Michael Giacchino, like I said, did the music for this, but he was not alone. There was a lot of different Mexican musicians that were involved in the entire score for this process. And on top of that, Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez did the hit song, Remember Me.
What about Mario
in both-
Lopez? What was he doing?
Mario
Mario
Lopez?
Lopez.
Not involved. Not involved
Oh,
in this.
wow.
I hear
Damn.
they
That's
texted
a
him and he was
miss.
like, "I believe in you guys," and that gave him the extra oomph they needed.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
like, Mario, we need you. You got that youth. You still look like you're 25. And he's like, I thought this is an animated movie.
What would
They're
you
like,
do?
yeah.
Andy, what would you do
voice.
if you texted Mario Lopez and he just sent you every season of Saved by the Bell on DVD?
Oh my God, in 4K remastered.
No, it's in standard definition.
Yeah,
Damn
It's
it.
in standard definition.
But Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, you might know them from what, Joey?
High School Musical, the musical, the series.
Frozen. Frozen is what I
Oh,
was
they're the
looking
ones
for.
that got
They're the
Oscars, right?
people that made Let It Go. Obviously, won a lot of records and Oscars and this and that. Remember Me also got the Academy Award for Best Original Song in this. They also did all the music for WandaVision. all the fun theme songs and
Oh,
Agatha all along and all that stuff. So they're
Oh.
pretty damn dope. This one
like
had a
them.
budget of $225 million. Coco's the first film with a 9-figure budget to feature an all Latino principal cast. So that's really cool. And a box office of $807.8 million. It spent more days number one at the box office than any other animated film in the 21st century. This film
My
opened
God.
in Mexico 3.5 weeks before it opened in the US, where it surpassed the Avengers, the first Avengers, as the country's highest grossing film of all time.
Wow.
dang.
In terms of awards, this one was a banger. The film won 2 Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song for Remember Me. It also won Best Animated Film at the BAFTAs, Golden Globes, Critics' Choice Movie Awards, and the Annie Awards. And some fun stats for you, Andy. Whenever a guitar is played, the animated character's fingers match the fingering of the actual chords. If you watch the video of Ernesto Miguel's watching near the start, the camera zooms in on his hands when he's playing notes, implying
Sure
it's
does.
actually a stunt double. It's not him playing. There's no wide
Oh.
shots of Ernesto playing. So that's a fun little,
That's
little
amazing.
tidbit there for you.
I'll tell you what, guys,
dang.
as the only semi-professional musician in this group, Andy notwithstanding, I know, Andy, I'll speak for you on this one.
Okay,
It does
yeah,
bother
sure.
me when people are playing an instrument and they're not actually playing the instrument and or doing the correct finger positions for said instrument. The biggest
Mhm.
offender is trumpet. We'll leave it at that. We're not going to
Leave it
call
at
out
that.
anyone.
Leave
but
it at
we'll
that.
Leave it at that.
I mean, I feel like with the trumpet, though, you could just kind of hit those buttons and just
God damn
feel
it,
out.
Andy. That's not what happens.
And the Bechtel test is a measurement of representation of women in fiction, asking whether a work features at least 2 women who talk to each other about something other than a man. This one's interesting. It passes, but just barely. There's actually only one scene where there's 2 women talking to each other, and it is with Mama Coco and her daughter towards the end. But I would have thought this was a slam dunk, but it wasn't. But they did it none.
Now, does it count as a man if it's a little boy they're talking about?
That is some
Because
levels
it
of
was-
complication.
Yes, it does.
It's always my interpretation that when they say talking about a man, it's a romantic thing,
Romantic.
and it's always about the guy. And in this
Mhm.
one, I think it's different when they're talking about their child.
Yes.
It kind of is a conversation if like one person is clearly lost and doesn't know what's happening.
The thing about all of this is a lot of
You
this
know?
is just it's vague and it's more of an idea,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
It's not like there's no science to this. But even then, with what you're talking about, Nick, it's like there's not that many instances of women speaking to each other in this movie. Period.
Right.
It just feels like there are because there's a lot of female characters.
Mm,
More often than not, they're talking to men. So, then an interesting thing I saw was the film contains certain themes and content which would be ordinarily banned in China, but reportedly the Chinese censor board members were so touched by the film that they made an exception and just fucking
Wow.
That's how
allowed
you know you're making good.
That's
movies.
wild.
God damn.
When the censor board in China's like, fuck, we got to give this one a pass.
It's a good movie.
It was like that
Andy
one in
Cortez.
Skyscraper.
You're back. I want to hear what you have to say about Pixar. What you feeling about Coco?
I thought that there would be zero chance for this movie to hit me as hard as it did the first time, which was so emotional for me to see just all the representation, all of the stuff that I connect with on such a deep level. Even though Dia de los Muertos was something we did in school and not necessarily was a big family tradition. It's stuff that I knew about a whole lot, but it's just nothing really my family talked about a whole lot. So the concept of alebrijes and these spirit animals wasn't really anything we ever. The first time I heard alebrije was, I think, in this movie. To be honest with you.
What about ofrendas?
Oh yeah, all that stuff is definitely for sure. Because a lot of that stuff is we would do in school as a way to kind of understand our culture better and stuff like that. But goddamn, this movie hit me just as hard as it did the first time, and I saw it. I made the mistake of watching it on a plane
Oh
with
No.
What are you doing?
with two
Your
masks
life, boy.
on, and by the end of the movie,
Crying.
I am just I don't want to wipe my nose because I'm on a plane and COVID and all that, and I've just got fucking mocos. I'll call them mocos instead of boogers because we're doing Coco right now.
Yeah,
I got mocos coming out of my nose. My tears just rolling down my face, and I'm double masked up. This movie, I think, is just it's as good as a movie Pixar can make. And one thing I really, really respect about it, aside from all the other stuff just being so accurate, and I think the first time I talked about this movie was just how I always thought as a kid, why does nobody in my grandma's photos of her grandparents, why does nobody smile in these not black and white photos, but like, sepia tone photos and shit? And when I saw that on screen, like I was dying of laughter because it's the same stuff where it's just families looking just pissed off. And I thought that was like all those things are so great. But the one thing that I really enjoyed about this movie is that there are really small things that are kind of set up that you think are just there to say something really. And then they kind of play a bigger part in the movie later on. With Frida and all the stunt doubles and that being sort of something to kind of follow up on. Because when you first see that, I think, oh, maybe that's a Frida Kahlo thing. Maybe that's part of her history that's a reference that I just don't understand. But they have it kind of play a really big part in how the characters solve their issues. And there are several moments in this movie that do that. And I just think Pixar just fucking nailed this movie front to back, and I didn't think it would hit me as hard, and I was bawling again like fucking 10 different times in this movie. So very, very good job, Pixar. You have a big, bright future ahead of you.
You think they're
Joey?
gonna make it? You think they're gonna last?
No, we'll see. I don't know.
Not with the way Disney's treating me. You know what I mean?
Joey.
Here we go again. Yeah, I've only seen this movie once, mostly because it was one where it's similar to the beginning of Up, where I was just crying in the middle of it. The first time I saw this, it was Thanksgiving, and we went with my whole family, and my uncle and my cousins weren't there because they were saying goodbye to my great aunt, which is like my Mexican side of the family. So like I remember being in that theater and being like, this is too much. This is too close to home. I'm so glad that they didn't come to Thanksgiving because they also would have been like bawling in the middle of the movie theater about this. But I think it's Pixar's, I don't know if this is like too early. I think this is like one of Pixar's best. It's also like the most gorgeous film I feel like I've ever seen in terms of animation styles and colors and stuff like that. I think the characters are all really fun, and like I think there's enough like fun twists and turns, and the music is great. Like I can't speak highly enough about this movie. It's so good.
I really like this movie. I think it's beautiful. Like the colors are exceptional, and that makes a huge, like difference when you're watching. And like I got all the hues light going, and I'm like, wow, what a masterpiece. I think the story is very much keeps your attention, and it's all these twists, but it doesn't get me like on an emotional level, where it's like. All the Day of the Dead stuff, like I'm Peruvian, like that's not something that we, or at least that I grew up culturally doing. So that was all really new, and it wasn't something that I could like relate to. And just also, I'm not like musically inclined. We all know that.
What? News to me, Kevin. News to me.
Yeah. So like when they were like, "Hey, stop playing music," I was like, "Yeah, kid, stop it." You know what I mean? But I mean, it's a really, really good story.
Knock it off, kid.
Like make the shoes. You know what I mean? Anyways, but like
People need shoes.
I really did like it, and I think that it's a spectacle to watch.
Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Sentiment echoed. Saw this in movie theaters, was blown away, and then was looking forward to watching it again a second time, wondering if it was going to hit. And it absolutely hit. I think it's very, very, very well structured. I think the characters are all great. They're voiced wonderfully. The cinematography in this is amazing. The art direction in this is, it should win every award out there possible because it's just so beautiful. Their use of colors, and it's got a dog that ends up being a spirit creature. What more could you want from that? One of my favorite things that I didn't catch before, but is now one of my new favorite things in the movie is when Dante and Pepita come around the corner and you see their shadows, and Pepita's shadow is like gigantic, and then it comes down and she's this little tiny cat.
Yeah.
And it turns out that maybe cats and dogs are spirit animals. We should respect them more, Kevin.
I'll never respect a cat. Not for this joke, not for anything. I don't
Fair
respect
enough.
them.
Yeah, for me, this movie's it, man. Like this is as close to a 10 out of 10. I mean, fuck that. It is a 10 out of 10. Like I can't believe that so many years into Pixar movies and so many down this list that we're still getting bangers to the level that I'm like, okay, well, fuck. It's going to get so hard to start comparing them with the little things, and it just starts becoming a personal preference situation at some point. But I think that it is inarguable that this movie, from every vision point that they were going for, they nailed it. Like the art design is so fantastic. The first time he strums the guitar and the pedals fly up and all that, it's just like cool. That moment alone could make this movie number one in my book. But that's not all the movie has. It has so much heart. It has such a great plot with such great characters, and it uses those characters in the most fascinating way possible. I don't think there's a single like lost moment of the movie. It keeps moving. Every set piece and situation they're in does my favorite thing of both being interesting to watch at the time, but also feeds into a greater narrative as a whole. And that works for plot and for the characters and for just everything. And it's not just our lead that is growing and changing over time, but it is everyone around him. And by the time this movie ends, like if you're not bawling when Mama Coco is singing, you don't have a heart. And that's just not even the end of it. Like when it keeps going and you see them come from the land of the dead, and they're all kind of hanging out, even though they're not really hanging out, we see them all hanging out together. It's like, oh, damn guys, powerful stuff. They fucking nailed it. Voice cast was phenomenal across the board. I love that Pixar was like, all right, Disney, hold my beer. Y'all want some musicals? We're bringing the fucking heat. And they did it in a way that was just so fun. I loved that Remember Me is such a great song, but that wasn't it. The Poco Loco was fantastic as well.
What a slap
So
that is,
good.
dude.
Totally. And it's just like, man, I literally cannot say enough nice things about this movie. And I loved it the first time I saw it, but going into the second, I was kind of like what Nick and Andy were saying. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if it can hit the way some of these other ones are hitting. And fuck, I was so wrong. This was amazing.
Yeah,
It hit.
I was worried initially because I thought, did I just like it because I'm Mexican and I'm seeing a lot of brown people on screen and all the songs are hitting and all the mariachi stuff, like all that stuff just hits close to home. Was that the only reason that I really think that highly of it? And I was so glad to sort of be proven wrong and be like, no, it's just great across the board. And again, yeah, like you mentioning right now, Mama Coco hitting those when she starts to come in with those lyrics, like, God damn, it's so good. And the movie's full of purpose. Again, you mentioned it already, but there's so many moments on screen that just seem like this is a line we're throwing out, or here's something we're kind of pointing out. But it's largely going to serve a better purpose later on in the movie. And it's just so smartly written in that way.
Yeah, and with that, one last thing I want to say is from the first opening moments of this movie, we get the Walt Disney Castle, and then we get the fun mariachi version of the When You Wish Upon a Star. I'm like, cool, this is fantastic. And then it goes into I don't know what their names are, but the papers,
Flags.
the Mexican papers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ooh,
I don't know what they have a name that I don't
Little
remember.
flags with like the
Pastel
holes, or-
picado.
Yes, that's what it is. That stuff where it's like they had them like animated in that fun 2D style. It's like we always love when movies do that, especially when Pixar does it because they do it so well. But I don't think it's ever been done this well. This was like so good where it hits on all those levels of it fits the culture, it fits the narrative. We're immediately engaged. We are so in with this Miguel kid, and he's the moment that he starts. With a little bit too much exposition, it cuts to the scene of the guy being like, hey, I don't need your life story, man. I'm like, well, fuck, they got me right there. God, this is good. Nick, let's get to the plot once Andy gives you the song.
Oh, yeah. This song was written by a Reddit member, Mama's Boy _live, who said, I think Andy should sing this song with these lyrics. And I'm going to play it very slowly because it's a hard song to play and it has chords that I'm just not used to doing. So forgive me for the mistakes that I'm about to make right here. All right, here we go. Here we go. Tell us the story. Although we already know, tell us the story. Though you are elderly and slow.
Okay. All right.
Just know that you are in my heart almost as much as Greg. Until we can convince him to come back. tell us the story.
Okay. Well,
That
Nailed
was
it.
so good, and it was only made better by the perfect moment of silence. Just Nick going, "Okay."
So great job, Mama's Boy Live, for writing those lyrics.
Kevin, please write his name down. He's been having a good chat.
He's on the list.
He is on the list. We kick it off, and right off the bat, this movie is something special. We get the Disney. We see the castle and the lake and the train and all that stuff, and it's the Disney song, but they got a little mariachi flair in it, and I am not mad at it at all. Coco tells the story of how, Miguel tells the story of how he is cursed. A long time ago, there was a family, and the dad had a dream to play music for the world. So he went out for a pack of cigarettes and never came back. The mom banished all music from her life and found a way to provide for her daughter. She learned the fine art of shoemaking and taught that to her whole family. And for her, and as her family grew, so did the family business. But music tore her family apart. So shoes held them together. The woman was Miguel's great-great-grandmother, Mama Imelda, and her daughter is Coco, the titular character of this movie. Now I know what you're thinking, Kevin. I know exactly what you're thinking here, Kevin. There's a lot of
shoes.
generational gaps here. Is Nick gonna get confused like he did that one time with Mortal Kombat? The answer is yes. I was like, great grandma? Who the fuck? Why are there so many people in it? Anyway, good movie, solid movie.
That was
Put it
a
at
great
number one.
grandma, right? Because
Great grandma.
so
I
two
think because he has
greats?
an abuelita. It's just his grandmother.
No.
Yes, his grandma's
Yeah.
the tough one.
Coco
His
is the
grandma
great
is-
grandmother.
so
And
Coco is his
the great
great-grandmother.
Correct.
Imelda
This
is his
great
great
grandmother.
grandmother.
Mhm.
Now, again, Scorpion is their distant cousin
That's true. That's true.
from a whole different part of the world, but it's no big deal. We'll get to that later.
Oh,
in Mortal
I'm
Kombat movie.
sorry. I want to point out from earlier, Enigmatic. I had the chat open. It says it's papel picado. I don't know why I said pastel. That is cake. I just missed. That's just me reading
Sounds
wrong.
delicious though, Andy. It made me a little hungry, if I'm being honest.
That's just sheet cake right there. Let's see. The family still tells the story of Mama Imelda's story every year on the Day of the Dead. Mama Coco calls Miguel Julio, just like when my mama Scarpino used to call me Max, which I know what you're thinking. Isn't that the dog's name? Yes, but that's not because my mother had any loss of any faculties. She just put me and the dog on the same level. Abuelita runs the house and cannot stand music. The family is fine with it, but Miguel likes to fucking jam out every once in a while. It's all about Ernesto de la Cruz. He was the most beloved singer in Mexican history. He is Miguel's role model, and he started movies and had the coolest guitar ever. He's Miguel's all-time favorite. His all-time favorite song is "Remember Me." He lived the kind of life you dream about but in 1942, he was crushed by a giant bell. Miguel wants to be just like him, presumably minus the part where he gets crushed by a giant bell.
I do want to.
Insane.
Who can say?
I want to point out also something that I love about this part that makes a lot more sense once you figure out the plot of the movie. But the fact that Ernesto's version of "Remember Me" is this grand big band. Once he had sold out and he was on this giant stage walking up these stairs, and it's this big production, and the music doesn't even necessarily sound the same. It's all fast paced and kind of commercialized in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And when we later find out Hector's version of it, and it's like this slow kind of the lullaby version or whatever, the guitar version, it's such a long, there's such a long distance in between those two songs stylistically. And it's just really cool to me that when Ernesto de la Cruz was really big and famous, that you could tell totally had just sold out, and they were just playing this on big ass stages at festivals and shit like that. So I love how they kind of made that a big point of emphasis right there.
Miguel wants to be just like him, and he gets the feeling that they're connected somehow. And then we cut to that part where he's shining, or he's doing the shoes for one of the mariachis. He's like, "Kid, don't tell me. I want to know your life story. I just want your shoes shine here." But he tells Miguel that there is a music competition and talent show in the square that night. We offers to give Miguel his guitar to play. Abuelito comes over in a rage and beats his ass with a sandal. Now, I personally used to get the wooden spoon, but I see the merit in the sandal. It's softer and it
I got
stings
the
more.
wooden spoon too.
To the leather.
They break though.
They do, whereas the sandal has more of a whipping action. So I can understand the merits of that for sure. Miguel rips off a poster of the talent show and says goodbye to Dante, his street dog, so he can go home and get the what for from his parents. They shut him down and tell him tonight is all about family, no music. Abuelita tells Miguel all about the rituals behind Dia de los Muertos. Coco wants her father to come home one more time, and it's very, very sad. Keep cutting over the corner. They just leave Coco over there. Miguel sneaks away to a secret hideout, which has a shrine to Ernesto de la Cruz. He tunes the makeshift strings on his makeshift guitar, and then fires up an old De La Cruz movie so he can play along with it. And of course, Miguel, he gleans lots of different sayings from De La Cruz, one of which was, "In life gets me down, I play my guitar. The rest of the world may follow the rules, but I follow my heart." Tim Geddes. Man,
Yeah.
I wish I learned how to play guitar. I just wrote that in here. I think that was a note that I wasn't supposed to say out loud. In the movie, it'd be cool, right? In the movie, Ernesto tells an interviewer what it took for him to seize his moment. He says, quote, "I had to have a faith in my dream. No one was going to hand it to me. It was up to me to seize that dream, grab it tight, and make it come true."
And he sure did, huh?
Oh, he did. Anything it takes to seize that dream.
He wasn't lying about it. Yeah.
How's that? How's your beverage there, Kevin? Is it good? Tim, how's that LaCroix? Is it good?
What are you gonna take from me?
What can I take from you that
Your
I haven't already taken? Let's see. Miguel resolves that night to seize his dream as his family sets up for the celebration. He sneaks out, but he's spotted by his abuelita with good news. It's time for Miguel to join the workshop, carrying on the family tradition of making shoes. But he's like, I don't want to do that, so he leaves. And then Dante eats the food on the ofrenda. When Miguel tries to stop him, he goes over to his ofrenda. When Miguel tries to stop him, he knocks down the picture of his great grandmother, and when he opens it up, he realizes that the guitar in that picture is the same guitar that Ernesto de la Cruz uses, which means that Ernesto de la Cruz must be his long-lost great-great-grandfather. He proclaims to his entire family that he's going to be a musician just like Ernesto de la Cruz.
And you got to assume, Nick, that when we later find out that it was actually Hector instead of Ernesto, that, like, goddamn, that guy must have done a lot of push-ups and upper body workouts before this photo, because his body is looking wide and thick and strong, and he does not have that frame. So it of course anybody would mistake it as anybody but Hector, because he's a little bit of a lankier guy, and Ernesto's got this big sort of Buzz Lightyear looking chest. So yeah, I can't, begrudge Miguel for not understanding and thinking that that's Ernesto, because that's a big looking dude on that picture.
It's also smart that they made it the great great grandfather, so that you wouldn't.
No one living
would have remembered it, and so it's more believable that they could have hidden his identity.
Yeah.
Whereas had it just been his
He
grandfather,
also died.
What's that?
Well, he also died before Coco was like too old, right? So
Yes, but presumably she would have remembered her father's name, right? Maybe
But not
not.
if
mother
her
never
mom
told
was
her.
like,
That's
burn
true.
it all to
How
hell.
old do you have to be to remember what your parents look like if you were captured
Well,
and abducted
Tim, if
by
we're-
an old
if we're
man in a
going by
house?
lights out logic,
not the name
then
of the thing.
Don't breathe, aka lights
Doesn't
out,
matter.
aka.
All the
doesn't
same.
matter.
Sorry,
if you're going
sorry.
by
Don't
lights
breathe
out
in review.
logic,
Check it out.
you
It's
can
re-
be 2, you can be 14. Doesn't matter. You're gonna forget. A fire makes everyone forget everything. Haven't you seen X-Men Dark Phoenix? It's just the same logic.
X-Men in
But
review. Go check it out.
Go check it out.
But if the
Let's
great
see.
great grandma is like, burn it all to hell, we're not. If she's banning music, she's absolutely banning any mention of his name.
It's true,
Yeah,
but,
So
you
I don't know
be a hard
how
thing
much
to
of that would have gotten passed down.
Fair enough. Abuelita asks if he wants to end up like Ernesto, forgotten, left off his family's ofrenda, and he tells her he doesn't care about any stupid ofrenda. So she does what I've always wanted to do when Fran brings out his guitar at parties: smash that shit in the ground and see if he wants to go get some dinner. Miguel runs away and tries to enter the talent show, but without a guitar, he is he's screwed. He asks his grandfather's statue for advice, and the plaque underneath reads, "Seize your moment," which he takes to mean rob my grave. So Miguel heads over to Ernesto's burial vault and grabs his guitar off the wall. He asks permission to play in the plaza, just like Ernesto did when he strikes the guitar and leaves. He strikes the guitar and leaves kick up behind him, and people immediately notice the guitar is gone, causing Miguel because Miguel is dead. He has been dead the whole time.
What a
This is
moment.
A
God
sixth
damn.
sense moment. Yeah. He runs out, of course, and he's trying to get everyone's attention, but he starts running right through them when he realizes
He's
has
not
passed.
dead though, just to be clear. Like he's just been turned into a ghost because he stole from the dead on the Day of the Dead.
Correct.
Cursing
Big
himself.
crime. Big
Transitive
crime.
property, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Vis-a-vis.
That's not how the
ergo.
transitive property.
Vita means
property.
life.
Sure is.
Exactly.
Thank you too.
His parents search for him, but he falls into a grave. And when a woman comes to help him out, she pulls him up, and he notices she's practically skin and bones. This poor woman. Oh wait, no, she's dead. She is a skeleton. He has entered the world of the dead, and Dante is there too, because dogs are so pure they transcend the mortal realm, unlike cats who are the spawn of the devil. Miguel's Tia Rosita, Papa Julio, Tia Victoria, and Tia Oscar and Felipe come to his aid. They want to take him to Mama Imelda for help, but she's stuck. She couldn't cross over. She got stuck at customs, so they got to take her to him. So they take him over the Spirit Bridge, and he notices there's a bunch of other Spirit Bridge, and they're all made of these amazing flower petals, just like the ones for the flowers on the
So pretty.
It's gorgeous.
So pretty. It glows. Like the only other thing that I've ever kind of seen like that is like in the Cinderella reboot when they like whatever they do to her dress, it like glows this pretty blue, and I feel like that's what they did to these flowers, and
yeah,
I just love it.
The whole scenery here is just stunning, and you got to imagine that when these 3D artists see what the concept artist had drawn, they're like, "Fuck yeah, we're gonna make this shit out of
It's
this."
gonna be
dude."
fucking cool.
It's one of those things like this is the totally nerdy joke, but like when you're in After Effects and you put the glow effect on something, and then you're like, what if I just doubled the glow effect? And then that's when Tim goes, yeah, that looks good.
I just love I also just love the structure of them being bridges and having sort of those architectural what do they call, Kevin? You know, those little arches? Like
Arches.
I guess just arches, sure.
Yeah, it's just arches, like support arches, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say scaffolding, but that's not it, Kevin.
No, that's not. That's not
That's
right.
definitely not it.
Things and breaking
Before
the
we
houses.
get back to the plot, though, let me tell you about our sponsors.
This podcast is brought to you by Canva. Guess what? You see all the cool stuff happening and Kind of Funny all the time, the new motion graphics from Tim or from Roger or from Nick or whatever. Guess where they learned to do a lot of that stuff, the new stuff, because they had basic skills before, but not expert skills. They've been learning it from Canva. Canva Pro is the easy-to-use design platform that has everything you need to design like a pro. No matter what you're creating and sharing, Canva Pro has everything you need in one place, including a collection of over 75 million premium photos, videos, audio, and graphics. Plus, Canva Pro comes with time-saving tools that simplify and speed up the creative process. Just go to canva.me/kindafunny to get your free 45-day extended trial. That's canva.me/kindafunny, canva.me/kindafunny. Our next sponsor is Stamps.com. If you know anything about Kind of Funny, you know we've been using Stamps.com for a long time. When Joey was sending out a whole bunch of Patreon stuff way back in the day at the office, she had to start using Stamps.com because we were using so many stamps and it's easier to use. Stamps was Stamps.com. You can mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from your computer, send letters, ship packages, and pay less, a lot less, with discounted rates from USPS and UPS. Stamps.com saves businesses thousands of hours and tons of money every year. Stamps.com is no-brainer, saving nearly 1 million small business owners like you time and money. And with their switch and save feature, you can quickly compare carriers to find the best rates every time. Stop wasting time going to the post office and go to Stamps.com instead. There's no risk, and with our promo code KINDAFUNNY, all one word, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments and no contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type KINDAFUNNY, all one word. That's Stamps.com, promo code KINDAFUNNY, Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again.
Are you talking about a flying buttress? That's the only thing I remember
That's
from history,
one of them, Joe.
architecture.
That's kind of like one of them.
Keystone?
I don't think
Is a
that's what he
Keystone
meant.
somewhere in here. Anyway, Dante follows and Miguel loses sight of where he's going. When he finally looks up, he sees the land of the dead, and it is stunning, as we've all talked about. He says, "This isn't a dream. You're all really out there. I thought it was one of those made-up things, like vitamins." And his aunt goes, "Miguel, vitamins are real?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm starting to think so."
Great performance. Great read of that line.
Oh,
Great
good.
little bit. He's got a couple of those here that I think I marked a few of them, but he's got great little moments like that too, where it's like very contemporary humor, which I think fits very nicely into this. Of course, he sees the how do you say that?
Alebrije.
Alebrijes, spirit creatures who guide souls on their journey and make caquitas everywhere. And Kevin, just in case you're wondering,
Little
caquitas
caca.
are mini poops, I think.
I'm
Little
not wondering.
caquita.
I'm not wondering.
They're
I
mini
know.
poops, I think.
We both know that you know what they are, and that I know what they are.
Caquitas.
Little
That's a fun
caca.
word to say. Tim, say
Little
it with me.
cacapupu.
Caquitas. Cacapupu. Everyone passes through the realm, has to check into the customs, which cross-references their photos with the ones their families have put on ofrendas. I love this. I think it's such an interesting use of, yeah, I think it's cool.
I agree.
Mechanic
It's
there,
just
and-
like the systems of like, how would they figure out who could go across and who wouldn't? They're like, let's make it into
It's fun.
the TSA,
And that
essentially.
and all of this sounds totally fine until you get the overall theme of that if you are not remembered, you go away forever, and that is just the most haunting thing.
Brutal.
It's terrifying.
It happens
God
to everyone
damn.
eventually, Andy.
Oh, for sure, Kevin. Yeah. But I mean, there's always that, that one shower thought that
Yeah.
Of course, we get introduced
Wait,
to Hector
what?
here,
What
who was trying
shower
to sneak
thought?
through.
the shower thought that sort of freaks you out, where it's like, there's one day there will be one person who doesn't remember, who like will be the only person who remembers who you are, and then they'll die, and then that's it for your legacy and
never
your
had that
existence.
thought.
No, we're all
before.
on YouTube now, which means that 30 years from now, someone's like, I really like these guys. I hope they make more content.
That's
And
true.
they're not going to
Yeah.
realize we have been dead for fucking 30
Yeah,
years.
all snake bites.
In this scene where they introduce the TSA idea, is this where we get a couple people that we see go by, like the quick jokes with the dude with the grill? Or is
This
that later?
Well, this is Hector. We're getting introduced to him where
Like
he's
Frida
trying
Kahlo?
trying to sneak in his Frida. Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
well-
so like when we see that joke, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thing to throw out there. I'm sure they're not going to commit to this over and over again.
They totally do.
They do.
It's
Did any-
Ratzenberger, the guy with the grill. At whatever point in the movie that happens.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's great.
It was during this
Uh,
part too when they start talking about the forgetting thing that I felt like extreme guilt of like, how come we don't do this in my, like, how come my mom and my grandma never did these? Like, am I fucking up? Now I have no
You are,
ancestors.
Joey.
They're all
You are.
gone forever. And
Yeah,
I
don't
had,
think
like,
about
a
it,
mini
Joey.
existential crisis.
It's gonna get dark.
See, that's the opposite of
Stressful.
Catholicism. In Catholicism, they're always up there watching. Always.
They
What
have
does it
nothing
mean
else
if
to
they're
do, Joey.
Mexican Catholic?
Oh, they're watching Joe and they're judging
And they're
you
pissed.
right now. And nothing-
All of the ones that are still around are still judging too, so it's fine.
Yeah,
So not much
Good
has
point.
changed.
Solid point. Easy come, easy go, as they say. Let's see. Hector tries to game the system. Once it doesn't work, he bolts for it, but he sinks into the flower bridge. He can't make it across without the official sign off from the customs agent. They declare Miguel, which makes the customs agents literally drop. He's like, anything to declare? And like, yeah, this kid's alive. And he's like, what? How did this happen? Did you steal from the dead or something? Then they take Miguel to the office of family reunions, where we meet Mama Imelda. She's there just giving a customs agent just hell because she's like, I should be able to go there. But it turns out, of course, she can't make it over the bridge because her picture's not on the ofrenda, because that is the picture that Miguel currently has with him that he has taken off from that. So that's why she couldn't make it over there. He stole from the dead, which is why he's there. He's cursed, which is the opposite of what you're supposed to do on Dia de los Muertos. Also, they call Dante a funny-looking Alebrijes, which they were like, maybe he's just, and then they're like, I don't know if it's here or not. I think maybe it might be the next scene, but they're like, she's like, oh, that's the spirit animals coming, spirit creatures come in all different sizes, and they don't always have to look the same. They look over and he's chewing his foot, and she's like, yeah, he's just a dumb dog. Maybe I'm wrong on this one. Great way to animate that thing. Miguel comes clean. He accidentally took the photo off. Talked about that. Thankfully, Miguel's family's here. All he needs is for one of them to give him their blessing so he can pass over. And of course, Mama Imelda says she'll do that. But in order to give her a blessing, he has to promise to never play music again, which he reluctantly agrees to. And then he's instantly transported back to the mortal realm and immediately picks up that guitar, which breaks
So
his
great.
promise. So he's immediately transported back. And none of his other then he tries to get all the other family members to do it for him, but of course they don't want to defy Mama Imelda because she is the matriarch, excuse me. And so he's like, I gotta find the only other living relative that I know of who's in the land of the dead, Ernesto de la Cruz. He will give me his blessing so I can go play music and get everything I want, have my cake and eat it too.
Nick, what's the thing that would have stopped you? That if they're like, I give you my blessing to go back to the land of the living, but
easy
no
one.
more Reese's cups.
No. It would have
something.
been no more. There would have been like no more Diet Coke, and I'd be like, I can't promise that. And then it'd be like this.
What
Nick,
about Cherry
the
Coke
Diet
Zero?
Coke's what killed you. The Coke Zero is what killed you. And I'm like, I need more. Like you got a rock of aspartame in your stomach, the size of a small football. You can't.
Looking for a second opinion on that one.
I heard it both ways. I get that thing broken up. I get that thing. Kevin will come over with a little tack hammer, break that fucking thing up real easy. I'll just pass it in the night.
God.
Yeah, that's a real deal.
No.
Holy right
Pass it in the night.
Get up in the middle of the night, be like, here we go. Put your mouth guard in.
Well,
and
at least
just
you're
get
getting up, because in my
Put
mind,
your
you didn't even
mouth
get up.
guard
You just let it
in.
happen.
No, you gotta have something to bite down on.
Yeah,
John.
you gotta-
If you've
you
ever
gotta get
passed a
up, Tim.
kidney
You
stone
gotta get
before,
up.
it is not fun.
I have not. It doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
Shoot ultrasounds at it, Nick. I'll just go in there and go, boom.
I don't have the kind of money for ultrasounds, Kevin. I need you to just give me some raspberries on my stomach. You know what I mean?
What is Kevin doing?
Kevin's making a
Doing
ocean sound.
ultrasounds on Nick's stomach, Joey. Use your imagination.
Oh, okay.
Joey, close your eyes.
Okay.
Kevin, make the sound again.
Audio listeners, by the way, you're missing on a lot of good content right now. All right, there we
So
go.
that's either
All
Kevin.
right.
It's either Kevin making an ultrasound on my stomach or Star Trek lasers. I'm not quite sure which.
Either one.
Hector and Miguel. He overhears Hector, of course, saying that he knows Ernesto de la Cruz. So they strike a deal. Hector will get him back to the living world if Miguel agrees to put his picture on an ofrenda so he can pass back and forth because he desperately wants to get back there for some reason. Meanwhile, Mama Imelda calls in some help in the form of her spirit creature, Pepita, who is freaking an enormous cat-like creature, which is awesome. Hector gives Miguel his picture of when he was a mariachi. They head over to Cichi's, I think is how you say, or Chechi's studio, and Dante gets into a scuffle with Frida Kahlo, and you're like, oh wow, they're doubling down on Frida Kahlo. That's hilarious.
Yep.
At first I was like, this is genius, because you just have a little cameo where he's dressed as her, and then they actually have her, and you're like, that's hilarious. And then she plays a pivotal role in the third act. You're like, that's pretty awesome. Let's see. Frida shows Miguel her new studio or her new show that's going to open the gala event for Ernesto de la Cruz, and it is insane. Miguel tells her she should get a little bit of music and gives her a couple cues that she could do, which she very much appreciates. And then Miguel, let's see. As Ernesto rises from the ground, Miguel is disappointed. Ernesto doesn't do rehearsals. That's the whole point of why they went there. Ernesto apparently is halfway across town at his pre-party, and he's like, "Damn it, that does sound cool." Then
This whole scene spoke to me. I don't even need to go too deep into it. Obviously, love production, love this type of dumb epic for the sake of epic bullshit. And their whole introduction to this ending with him popping up and it not being him, and like her eventually just being like, "I want it on fire," and like all the improv and art stuff. I was like, this is just so fucking good job, Coco.
Then a bunch of the people there, a bunch of musicians call Hector Chorizo, and he's like, why do they keep calling you that? And apparently he died because of some bad chorizo, and everyone laughs, which is totally the kind of thing people would do. The only way Miguel is getting closer to Ernesto tonight is if he wins a big music competition in the square, but first he'll need a guitar. Hector asks why Miguel would ever want to be a musician and spend his life performing like a monkey for a complete strangers. But Miguel dismisses him. He says, "What do you know? You are no musician." Hector's like, "Well, I am actually." Hector takes Miguel to the place where everyone's being forgotten and asks for chicharron. Chichi, as he calls him, is not happy to see Hector.
So sad.
But he's fading, and this is where we get introduced to the idea that if no one remembers you in the mortal world, if you're not put on an ofrenda, that you die forever. We call it the final death. And so he asks Hector to play him one more song as he fades out and goes on.
What the fuck, Pixar?
Mhm.
Again, there's some rules to this shit. You either break our hearts in the fucking beginning of the movie and let us get over it, the end of the movie so we can think about it later. You don't just get to randomly 1/3 in just be like, boom, here's a fucking moment that you don't see coming that takes the concept they've built so far and just immediately is like, no, we're going to take it even further. It's going to fuck you up. Good for them, man.
And it makes you feel all the feelings about a character you've known for 0.5 seconds.
Exactly.
But I do love chicharron, so there is something about that. I thought about getting some later.
I mean, it's better to have loved than lost than to have never
true.
loved at all.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And oftentimes when I eat too many chicharrones, I lose them very, very quickly. I pass them in the night.
God damn it.
Something else being passed in the night.
Let's see. Miguel says he can remember He's like, I can remember it's each your own. I want to get back to the world I remember. He goes, it doesn't work that way. You have to be remembered, passed down from person to person in the real world. It's not going to work. He's gone forever. So that's the stakes where we're at right now. On the way to the Battle of the Bands, Hector tells Miguel that he used to play with Ernesto de la Cruz, which it turns out Hector doesn't hold in very high regard, and we'll figure that out later. The competition begins. Winner gets to play for Ernesto at his party. Miguel wants to play Remember Me, but guess what? That's basically just like the most popular song he's ever had. It's super played out, and they go around. And I love this part where everyone's doing their own little twist on Remember Me, and they're all terrible. And he's like, why don't I play Poco Loco instead?
That's
And
the
it's like right
mainstream
now,
song. That's so lame.
Yeah.
we got to go something different.
Real fans know Poco Loco. you
Yeah.
know?
And Poco Loco, it turns out, is a fucking slap and a half. But we'll get to that in a sec. Miguel, let's see. Hector freaks when Miguel tells him he's never performed before. And he goes, if I can't go out there and play one song, how can I ever be a musician? I don't just want to get Ernesto's blessing. I want to prove that I'm worthy of it. And Hector decides to show him the ropes. He says, shake it out and then give me your best grito. And then grab their attention and don't let it go. And then Miguel tries to give a grito. It doesn't really work that well. Miguel takes the stage and freezes. He spots Hector, who motions for him to grito. And then after a couple seconds, he gets after it. And Miguel takes a breath and he lets out a grito. It's a serviceable grito, I would say. And then that gives him what he needs to start getting after it. And man, Poco Loco, if we could just have Andy play that entire song right now, I'd be very, very happy about this because it's a great part in this. Of course, Dante steps up and drags Hector on stage so that they can duet and harmonize better than Don Henley and Glenn Frey, or I guess some would say contemporarily Nick Scarpino and Andy Cortez.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course.
The crowd goes nuts, and Miguel is elated until he spots his family skulking around the audience looking for him. The MC makes an announcement that his family is looking for him, and Hector realizes he's like, wait a minute, you're the kid. He's like, your family's here. You could have been sent back the entire time. Why are we wasting time with Ernesto? Like, we're trying to find Ernesto de la Cruz. You're screwing me here, kid. But when he threatens to take it back, he's like, Miguel ends up throwing his picture away and then splits. Dante tries to drag him back, and Miguel calls him a dumb dog, which makes him sad. And then Mama Imelda lands atop Pepita and chases him up a staircase. She says, I'm just trying to save your life. And he says, music is the only thing that makes me happy, and you're trying to take it away. You'll never understand. And she's like, buddy.
You don't know
have no
shit
idea,
about what
you
I
know.
know, dude. Are you kidding me? I'm like 19 generations away from you.
Yeah, dude, I've been through it all.
I gotta say, like, this movie has kind of Nolan-esque writing when it comes to making sure the plot is only sticking to, like, and characters are only
What you
saying
need to
things-
know.
So what you need to know and what the characters should know without ruining the twists and stuff for each other in a way that just works. Like, they must have had some type of whiteboard where they're like keeping notes of like
Flowchart.
making sure that they're getting things right. Cause like they do a great job of like keeping it consistent so that when moments happen, you're not like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why didn't blah, blah, blah? It's like, well, shit, they thought about that and answered it.
Miguel has it all wrong. She loves music, but when they had Coco, there was something in her life that mattered more than, but her husband still wanted to play for the world. We each made a choice. Now Miguel must do the same, but he doesn't want to have to pick sides. He says he just wants his family to support him like they're supposed to do. And he heads back up. He heads to the party and tries to get in through the door by saying he's related to Ernesto. And the guy's like, dude, everyone says that. They all try to get in. Rookie mistake. He gets bounced. So of course he spots the
Should
other
ask for
band.
Mike.
Exactly.
I was gonna say the Wayne's World line that was better than Joe. And Wayne's World Nick when he's like everybody's girlfriend's in
He's
there.
like, my
man."
girlfriend's in there. Let's see. Rookie mistake. Of course, he spots the other band, the one that actually won the competition from the square, and asks for a favor. And they sneak him in a tuba. Miguel spots Ernesto and heads into the party, which is more impressive than he has imagined, but unfortunately loses Ernesto in all of the epicness. Love that there's a pool shaped like the guitar, which is super, super cool and super chic. So he heads up to the balcony to get everyone's attention, just like he learned in the prior scene, and starts playing. And then he gets Ernesto's attention. Before he can make it over to his great-great-grandfather, he falls in the pool. Ernesto, being a good stand-up guy, jumps in after him and pulls him out. But when he does, all the paint that Hector had put on him to disguise him as one of the dead wears off, and he realizes it's the boy from that everyone's been looking for.
But being the
Miguel
big ass celebrity he is, he's like, don't worry, like it's all good. You're my grandson?
Yeah.
Whoa, everything like what a cool that must feel awesome in that moment.
Super cool, right? And it's like, wow, it's like Elvis Presley just said, Nick,
Yeah.
you're my grandson. Super cool, man. I'd be like, cool. Can I have some money? Give me some money.
Elvis Presley died with like 50 pounds of shit in his body, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, that's why you
No,
got
I
to
think he had a
practice
heart attack.
passing things in the night.
He was
No.
That's not
on-
how
but-
he died.
No, I'm not saying how he died, but he died with like a big load of shit in his body. Like,
I mean, he was taking a shit, right?
We all
Died
have
in the
shit in
bathroom
our
for
body
sure.
right now. Yeah, they found him on the pot eating some fool's gold, I think, which is like
What's
peanut
fool's
butter
gold?
sandwich. Fool's gold is like it's a sandwich. It's like a
like-
bread with like butter and peanut butters and
It's
stuff
like
like
deep
that.
fried, like peanut butter jelly sandwich, right?
Yeah, basically, right?
while
And
on
he
the
was like, "I'm
toilet,
gonna-"
it's replacing it.
Yeah, here's the problem, right? He was like, my stomach hurts. I think I got a big old ball of stuff in there that I need Kevin to come over and break up. And Kevin's like, I'm sorry, I'm too busy on the West Coast.
I'm breaking
setting
up
a company."
Nick's.
Boo.
I'm breaking up Nick's belly of aspartame.
Aspartame. He's like, I'm Elvis Presley. I'm more important than Nick will ever be, and we all have to agree on that one. Let's see. After Ernesto kind of
This sandwich is nuts, by the way. I just looked up this fool's gold sandwich.
yeah, it's
You
Yeah.
take a loaf of Italian bread, you coat it in butter, and you bake it. Then you hollow it out and coat it with an entire jar of peanut butter, an entire jar of jam, and you stuff it with bacon.
yeah, that was his like favorite snack apparently. Fool's Gold.
That is a crazy
I
sandwich.
think he had a heart attack. I think he had a heart attack on the pot. He was trying to get it all out and it just
Yeah.
wouldn't move. Anyway, now that we've grossed out the audio listeners,
Yeah.
Hector once again dresses like Frida Kahlo to sneak into the party while Ernesto shows all of his friends his
This
great
looks
grandson.
so gross.
Miguel asks Ernesto if he ever rejected or regretted choosing music over everyone else. He says, one cannot deny who one is meant to be, and you, my great grandson, are meant to be a musician. We cannot belong to one family. The world is our family. He invites Miguel to the Sunrise Spectacular show, but the boy has to get home before he turns to a skeleton forever. Cool little scene where he pulls up to show him, and like his skin's translucent.
I
You
love
see, like,
that
his ribs
effect.
and all that stuff. That's super cool.
You know what it kind of reminds me of?
Back to the Future.
No,
Oh.
yeah, I guess that too. I was gonna say Sacha Baron Cohen's character in Luca.
Oh my god.
that underwater creature from the deep that has this. He has that
Transparent
translucent
skin.
body. You could see his heart beating.
Love
That's
that
what it reminded
scene
me
so
of.
much. Let's see. So Ernesto grabs a flower and gives his blessing to Miguel, but the scene is interrupted by Hector. Ernesto is taken back by the appearance of his old friend, but it turns out that Hector he's like, listen, man, this guy's a bad guy. I wrote all of his great songs, and when he died, he took credit for it. And then Miguel puts two and two together because he says, I would have moved heaven and earth for you, my old friend. And Miguel's like, wait a minute, there was this show there was a part in a movie where a character said that right before poisoning the other character, and then Hector thought about it and he's like, holy shit, that's exactly what happened to me, and I thought it was bad chorizo this whole time. No one's eaten chorizo in all of Mexico because of this story, and
Mhm.
now we can enjoy it once again. Hector attacks Ernesto and security is called in to take him away, and then he tries to gauge whether or not Miguel's going to be cool about this, and Miguel's like,
Yeah.
I am not going to be cool about this. So Miguel calls in his security as well and throws him into a watery pit alongside Hector. Of course, Hector is breaking down now. He's starting to fade because no one remembers him, and he should have listened. And Miguel's like, it's all my fault. I should listen to my family. And then Hector flashes gold and collapses to the ground. He tells Miguel all he wanted was to tell his daughter her papa was trying to come home. He just
Papa.
wanted to see his daughter one more time. Of course, his daughter is Coco. And
What a
Miguel goes,
moment.
Oh, I am so stupid. He says, even if I never get to see Coco in the living room, I thought at least one day I could see her here and give her a hug. But she's the last person alive to remember me. That moment she's gone from the living room, Hector, of course, will disappear forever.
And
He's
he
like, I
won't be
even
able
wrote
to
her a
see
song
her.
once. They used to sing it every night at the same time, which I think is just the most adorable and amazing thing ever. And he says, I want to sing it to her one last time. And that song, of course, was Remember Me. What were you gonna say?
A weird song to sing to your kid as he's falling asleep or she's falling asleep, right?
No, because you sing it to her and then she sings it. I thought it was endearing because like wherever he's at in the world at 10 o'clock, they both sing that song, knowing that they're both singing the song to remember each
Oh,
other.
all right. I
That
didn't
was the whole
get
point
that.
of it. I thought
Well,
it
they
was-
stopped doing
Sorry,
that
it's not
once.
about making shoes, Kevin.
I mean, Coco. We
some
all know that Coco
shoes.
made a lot of shoes, so like it's fine.
Coco's, yeah. You know what it reminds me of?
Poco Loco is going to be called Loco Patito, Kevin. Zapato.
Yeah, you
Loco
got
Patito.
there. You
You're
got
saying
there.
a lot.
Zapatito, zapatito.
Let's see. Remember, yeah, we get a really cute scene where Hector sings to young Coco, and it's very, very sweet. Of course, a little flashback scene. He says, "You stole your guitar. He stole your songs. You should be the one the world remembers, not De La Cruz." And then, of course, Hector's like, "Look, you're not getting this. I didn't write Remember for the whole world. I wrote it for Coco. I'm a pretty sore excuse for a great grandpa." And then Miguel's like, another one of those fun lines. He's like, "Are you kidding me? A minute ago, I thought I was related to a murderer. You're a total upgrade." He's like, then he says, "My whole life, there's been something that made me different, and I never knew where it came from, but now I know it came from you. I'm proud to be your family." And then he goes, "You know what? I'm proud to be your family too." And then they just Greedo the fuck out.
Fuck
And
yeah.
it's awesome. Then Dante finds them and leads Mama, Imelda, and Pepita to them, and they're saved. Dante turns into a legit spirit guide, and it's amazing, even though it looks exactly the same, but he's like hypocolor now, and he's got these little tiny wings that are hilarious.
I like that he freaks out when it's happening, you know?
Yeah, he's like, "I don't know what's
Very
happening."
self-aware of it. Yeah, it's freaky.
Yeah.
So I got
It's painful.
this was something that was a little unclear to me both times I watched it. Did he die here? And that turned him into it? Like, did he choke on his tongue? Because the whole movie kind of keeps hinting that like he's almost gonna die a couple times. Like there's the first time he's biting on his leg and he like chokes. Then when they're under the tunnel, he like almost dies again, and it cuts away, and it almost like the Hector's given a speech that really makes it seem like they're gonna cut back to him and he's dead. But then this time he like chokes on his tongue, and then he turns into colors.
No,
No.
he was just like, he gained his wings, you know?
Yeah, I thought he
like
just
an
gained
angel.
his wings basically from he had
Because
always
all
been
pets are ready to be angels.
exactly.
Yeah, because I think at that point Dante had just been this ugly, gross mutt, and then at this point was like, right, I'm serving my purpose now. I'm
Andy-
gonna pop the fuck off, dude.
Just because something lost all of its hair doesn't mean it doesn't have a purpose anymore. Okay, it doesn't mean it has to be ugly. Let's just remember that. as
Now
I
what?
go into
Now
old age.
okay, but what height are we talking?
We're talking the dog stands at least 5'7", 5'8".
An average human height of like 5'7"? Yeah,
Some
that
would say
sounds
like
about
a
right.
perfect height. Perfect height.
Yeah, average. Yeah.
Imelda gets mad at Hector, of course, because she remembers him because they used to be married and he was the one that left her. But Miguel steps in and tells her that all of this was his fault. Hector was right. Nothing is more important than family, and he needs to get Hector's picture to the family ofrenda. He says, "I'm even willing to accept your blessing with all the conditions if you'll just help." And he tells his great grandma that Ernesto is to blame. She's like, I love this moment too. She's like, it's not Hector's fault. Ernesto killed him. She murdered him. And Mama Imelda's like, that's no excuse for not coming home.
I'm still pissed.
Being murdered is not an excuse for not coming home. I'm still mad at you. And it's a great little endearing moment. But of course, Hector steps up and apologizes to his wife. And Imelda realizes that getting Hector's picture back is the right thing to do with the family reunited. They head over to the Sunrise concert to confront Ernesto. Frida's show opener is bonkers, and the crowd is bewildered. Miguel and the family sneak in and with, I guess, disguised as their backup dancers and run into Ernesto, who Imelda knocks silly for killing the love of her life. And he's like, "Oh, I'm the love of your life." And Hector, she's like, "I'm still mad at you. Shut up." But then, of course, Ernesto uses that opportunity to
Very
bolt.
cute.
This is my favorite quote from the whole thing. It's just like so perfectly encapsulate my family of like, yeah, I'm still really mad at you. We're gonna talk about that later, but like you're still family, so
Yeah, I still love you.
you know, gotta have your back.
And then, of course, security get involved and a tussle ensues. Imelda grabs the picture from Ernesto, but she's accidentally taken onto the stage with the whole world watching. Miguel motions for her to sing, and sing she does. Miguel slams a guitar in Hector's chest to back her up, and she makes her way down the grand staircase set piece as security chases after her. This is a great scene, of course, interrupted by Ernesto, who catches her arm, and then they start duet, sort of sing, fight, kind of do a thing here. Imelda runs back to Hector with a photo and pulls out a flower, and you think it's going to be a nice moment, but you're like, he's got to be right behind you, right? She goes, "Miguel, I gave you my blessing to go home, to put our photos up, and to never," and he goes, "never play music again." She goes, "No, never forget how much your family loves you." That's good. But it's interrupted, of course, when Ernesto grabs Miguel and drags him over to the edge of a balcony. A very, very tall balcony is about to throw him off. And then the ants think fast. They're like, "You know what? We can't be of much service here, but we do know how to run a camera and a switcherboard. So let's turn that bad boy on him and hope to God he doesn't kill our grandson." It looks like Mama Imelda's got that.
The main switcher not have someone live directing, you know, or switching? Where's the TD?
I don't know, man, but he's
Do you
not.
think he went to the
Probably just like,
bathroom?
yo, they went off book. We don't need shit. Who the hell knows what's happening right now? There's random people coming on. They're not doing the songs we practice. Who cares?
Kevin, the camera guy was the same one that was with us when we were with Shaq
I
and
knew
interviewed
it,
him.
yeah.
Just pieced out.
Man, I
Went
saw
to lunch.
Shaq in a Papa John's commercial the other day. I was like, "Damn,
Shaq was like an hour late. That was Shaq's fault.
Yeah, you're right.
Shaq
yeah.
doesn't care about your time frame."
And also, we handled it. I handled the cameras.
got it,
That
I
was
got
no
it.
deal. We got there.
Of course, he's like, "Hey, man, I'll do whatever it takes to like, you know, you got to do whatever it takes to fucking achieve your dream and protect it at all costs." So he just tosses Miguel off of the side of the building, and of course, Dante rushes to help, but his little wings can't get it done. So Pepita has to step in and save the day, swooping in to save Miguel a split second before he smashes on the pavement below. But unfortunately, Hector's photo falls out of his pocket. When Ernesto returns,
Do you think that would have killed him?
probably. I always think that, right? You see this in movies where the impact is like you're going then this way, and then someone takes you this way, but it would still
No,
jolt your spine.
but I
out of
mean,
you.
like,
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
he's like, is he like his physical body is there and like it would have had impact from
oh, the
floor?
fall. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because it's
I-
like
I-
Or does
wonder the
can he
same
just
thing.
not die there?
I think he just needed to get like it was just going to be hard for them to get down to him, so he was going to die because the sun was coming up. I don't know. It was dramatic. Don't ask questions.
it
Mhm.
was dramatic. It certainly had me on my toes.
Yes. When Ernesto recruits to the stage, the crowd boos him, and Pepita punts him into the bell, which crushes down on top of him like it did in real life. Hector falls to the
Hold
ground.
on. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kevin. It had you on your toes.
And then I said, "Tippy toes."
Yeah,
The old phrase, "Had me on my toes."
had me on my toes. Yeah.
Tim, I'm reading a little Pixar theory here that says that you were mentioning Dante's tongue, and apparently there's a part in the movie where he licks paint, and
Yeah.
they're saying that that's what kills him and makes him a spirit guide.
See, that's what I'm saying. There's
I
like
don't think he
5
died.
moments throughout the movie where it's like it teases his death. And then
Yeah.
it seems like that time he dies by choking on his own tongue, which is like the lamest way.
I think you can eat a lot of paint and like still be okay.
Let's
Like,
do it
'cause
right
kids
now.
in the '60s
Facts
ate
or
a bunch
cap?
of lead paint. Bunch of lead paint.
You'll pass it in the night, don't worry.
You know, it's not good for you. The lead chip thing is
No,
bad.
it's bad for you.
Oh, there will be
Poison you.
long-lasting
Yeah,
effects.
but like also like a dumb dog's not gonna like, you know.
But also, like he was guiding. He's been guiding.
Yeah, he
Miguel
earned
for
his
a long
wings,
time.
Tim. Like,
Yeah.
don't make
Even
this
in the-
about
in the
things
real world.
dying.
Yeah.
You always want to take it
That goes
way.
back to my question of can you die if you're in the spirit realm if you're not actually dead? Because at the end, he's back in like the normal world with the
Well,
little kitty.
the only reason he was
Right?
in the spirit world, right, is because he was cursed. But like dogs can go in there freely, right?
Oh, that's right.
Right. Or
Got it.
he was already destined to be the guide of this kid.
Mhm. I
You're
think
gonna say
that's
he's already
more what it was.
destined to be dead. It's like, damn, Kevin.
Oh.
Dead all along. Back to the plot. Hector falls to the ground. The sun is coming up, and both he and Miguel are out of time. With no time left, of course, they give their blessing to Miguel, and the boy awakens in Ernesto's vault. He grabs De La Cruz's guitar and rushes to Mama Coco's side to tell her about her father, but the words won't do the trick. Of course, the rest of the family interrupts, and they rush in to stop Miguel from causing Mama Coco more stress and more pain, but the boy knows what needs to be done. He picks up Ernesto's guitar and delivers his great-great-grandfather's message in the form of a song, Remember Me. Of course, Mama Coco, after a couple seconds, does in fact remember him. She remembers the words like they were yesterday. She tells Miguel that her father used to sing that song to her, and Miguel tells her that her papa loved her very, very much. And then, of course, Coco reaches into her bedside drawer and takes out a small diary full of poems and letters her father had sent her over the years. More so, she pulls out the torn part of the photo that Miguel has been carrying with him, which shows her father's face.
I didn't see that part because I was fucking crying my eyes out and everything was just blurry.
It's a great song. It's a great moment.
Yeah, I am midway through a flight from Houston to San Francisco, just straight up like like just ugly crying, open mouth, but you can't see it because I'm masked up, and it's just tears are rolling down my face, and I just hope that the guy next to me isn't like really worried about me. But then I assume he looked and saw Coco and was like,
He's
I get it,
Got you, bro.
I get it.
I understand it. Let's see. 1 year later, the town honors Hector for all the songs he had written, which he wrote in poems and letters to his daughter, presumably before they came out. This is a little part we gloss over here, but the whole town's like, we honor you, we believe you. And Miguel tells his little sister about the importance of the ofrenda, just like he was told at the beginning of the movie. These aren't just pictures. They're our family, and they're counting on us to remember them. Abuelita comes in and puts a picture of Coco next to that of her father.
Oh, another moment.
Coco has passed on. And then
Well, we
we
knew
get
she was really close, right?
No, yeah, but
she's-
like it's
Right,
just
right.
like
No, you're
just
right,
the
you're right.
Final moment, you
just
know?
having that happen. Like it's not
Yeah.
like we even saw her a whole lot in the movie. It just hit me
No.
again. I'm just like, got another wave. Let me get my fourth mask and put this shit on.
But see, I love how they so quickly celebrate it though and turn the
Yeah.
sadness into a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah.
Of course, over in Land of the Dead, we do get that resolution. Hector finally gets to cross over and visit his relatives, and he is joined by his wife, Imelda, and their daughter, Coco. And they hold hands. He gives her a hug finally, and they hold hands together as they cross over the Flower Bridge. And
Why
then-
is Coco super old?
Yeah,
It's-
Kevin, it's like the Anakin Skywalker
You know what I mean?
thing.
Right?
What version
Skywalker.
of Anakin are we putting in as a Force
You
ghost?
think it's
The one
dealer's
you
choice
died.
because grandma is like young or great
Yeah,
grandma.
but then it would be weird when
Imelda?
Miguel dies and he's old, and then his great grandmother's a child. It's like this is super confusing to everyone. You just the age you are, and when you die. That's
No
Isn't that what it is
way.
though? Is
I
there
think
anyone?
that's what it is.
Yeah, because
No,
everyone we know
Imelda-
the source of death. It is how they looked then.
Yeah, but
No, the-
Kevin's saying why wouldn't she be young? Why couldn't she be younger if she wanted to?
Well, I was saying Grandma Imelda, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's her name.
Mhm.
She like seemed like she was maybe in her mid 40s.
Everybody died at the age of 40
like,
back then.
that's
She
the thing.
definitely died like at
That was
100.
1942, man. People died when they were 20.
Yeah.
Yo, there was
If-
bells dropping left and right, man. We
if,
don't know.
Yeah. If you lived to the age of 60, you were lucky. Nick, we also saw that whole wall full of like Hector's like accomplishments, right? And kind of
Yeah.
And then
the
on there we
diary.
also see that part of the diary where it's like, hey, chorizo isn't actually dangerous. You can eat it now in Mexico, and everybody celebrates.
like,
They're like, oh,
And that's
thank
why
God.
for Day of the Dead,
I knew
everyone
it.
eats a
I knew it
raw
was
chorizo.
bullshit.
This guy
Yeah.
did it. Over in the land, let's see. Over in the land of living, Dante and Pepita cross over too, and they're back in their dog and cat form. Cool part where where Pepita has a big shadow. I talked about that at the beginning. I thought that was really nice.
Mhm.
And then they walk around the whole family, and we see both the living and the dead as they're all intermingling and hanging out and celebrating as Miguel sings to all of them. The end.
God
Not
damn.
the end. Because then we get the banger version of Remember Me by Miguel, and it's so good.
Yeah, that is a good point, Joey. You're right.
Recuérdame. Oh my God. 7 syllables in the middle. You need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Haiku in review.
I'm so happy you're back, Andy. We have been
Me
butchering
too.
that recently. So this is good.
Tim made it. The rest of us sing. It was not good.
You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to write your review in haiku form, just like Zayd Wilson did. For music, he strays, but for family, he must say, please, recuérdame.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That was tight. That was tight. This is not haiku. I don't think you understood the assignment, Stefan Stevens, but I'm going to read it. Un poco loco. Coco gets me every time. I cry and I cry. Please remember me every time I say goodbye till I final die. Miguel can now sing of his lovely family. Team, do the right thing. This is number 1 in our hearts and memories, like Mama Coco. Okay, so I guess that was like 4 haikus to make one bigger message to us
Oh,
about
sounds like he
haiku.
really
Got
got it then.
So yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. There we go.
The Voltron
Um,
of haikus.
Let's
The
see.
Voltron of
And then
haikus, that's right.
Good, Johnny.
this is the guys prepare for this one. Pizza Bagel writes in. This movie means the world to me as it came out almost a decade to the day that my father had passed away. My haiku is from my dad Alfredo. With love from Gordo, let music carry you home. Remember Fredo. There we go. There we go.
Wow.
There we go.
That brought a
Tear
tear
it
to
up.
my eye. I've
Just a
been
little
crying
bit.
all over this
Just a
interview.
little bit. Miscellaneous writes the plot in haiku, of
Only
course.
Crying
Miguel
sleeves.
loves to play, but hides passion every day. Family says nay. To the show he heeds, but where? No, heads. To the show he heads, but where does he go instead? The land of the dead. Looking to be blessed, but can't follow her request, sets off on his quest. He reaches his goal, but when secrets take their toll, finds truth in the hole. Ernesto, rotten. Family, Hector's gotten. Gone, not forgotten.
Not forgotten, dude.
Ooh, there we go. Thank you so
God
much. for
damn,
that.
dude.
Before we get to Ragu Bagu, let me update you guys with the Pixar theory from the nanobiologist. There's a recurring theory that every single Pixar movie is connected in some way. Here's the big deep dive red string everywhere theory for where Coco fits into the big picture. Before we dive into anything, let's take another look at Inside Out. That movie covers two things. One, emotions drive our actions, and two, our memories and emotions are extremely interconnected. They're two sides of the same coin. We've had lots of movies so far cover just how powerful emotions are, but this one covers the power of memories. Similar to emotion in the universe A113 creates life, memory basically creates an afterlife. Emotions are who you are and what you become, while memories are what you were. Now that that's established, let's take a look at the afterlife, the realm of the dead. It looks very similar to another location we've seen before, like the Islands of Personality, but on a much larger interconnected scale. This feels like a collectivism approach to a culture's history, where the more deeply tied to the culture a person or an item is, the longer they live in the afterlife, but also the grander their quote-unquote domain is, like how the Islands of Personality shape the person. Basically, it's a alternate realization of mementos. Finally, let's go back to our friend who likes to play Bing Bong. Bing Bong. Just about everything we saw in Riley's head was tied to emotions, except for Bing Bong, who existed solely as a memory. He's not a part of the emotional psyche like the 5 emotions are, or the pieces who help run Dreamland or clean up old forgotten memory orbs. He's an actual thing running around as a conscious memory of what Riley remembered, very similar to all the dead people in the land of the dead, and his death is very similar to the final death that is featured in Coco. So overall, Coco's more of a vague piece in the puzzle that covers the other side of emotions established in Inside Out. It covers the power of culture and collective memory and emotions, and just how powerful it is by being able to breathe its own life. And it's the second half of the backbone that makes the Pixar theory so much fun when trying to connect the pieces together. That's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, Andy, hit me with the raggy bagger.
It's a little bit slower, Nick, so just try to in a little bit slower tempo,
No
but
problem.
you'll get it.
No problem. Ragu. Is it still going? Or? Okay.
No,
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Right Guys Talk Bad Guys for Pixar in review. Number 1 on the list is Lotta. Number 2, Prospect. Number 3, Newswater and Randall. Number 4, Hopper. Number 5, Erika de Visconti. Number 6, Syndrome. Number 7, Months and the Dogs. Number 8, Ego and Skitter. Number 9, Darla and Barracuda. Number 10, Woody, Sid from Toy Story 1. Number 11, Gabby from Toy Story 4. Number 12, Hardscrabble and the Roars from MU. Number 13, Otto from Wally. Number 14, Mordu and the Witch. Number 15, The Muddy Water and the Pterodactyls from The Good Dinosaur. Number 16, Chuck and Hubris from Cars. 17, Jackson Storm and Sterling from Cars 3. 18, Axelrod and Lemons from Cars 2. 19 is Joy and San Francisco from Inside Out with an asterisk. Then again, number 20, The Fear of Getting Lost in a Department Store from Finding Dory, which also has an asterisk because those aren't real. Where do we want to put
Not real.
Ernesto de la Cruz?
Pretty up there for me.
I think definitely above the bad guy from Luca. What was that?
I
Number
have
7?
it in between Hooper and Hercule on my
Yes.
personal list.
Perfect. That's
I
what
like that. What do we
agree.
think? We
I'd
like
go
that?
higher than that. I'd put it under Prospector in Toy Story 2.
All right, who thinks? Let's do a vote.
What
We have to
number
do a
is
vote
that?
now.
Sorry.
What number 4?
So
We're
it
gonna
would
start
be
with
number 3.
That would be number
Got it.
3. So who thinks Ernesto de la Cruz is a better antagonist than Ercole Visconti? I agree. What
Yeah,
about
I'll
Hopper
agree.
from Ants? Keep the hands up. If it's Hopper from Ants, you think is better?
I like Hopper better.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, there you go.
There's
The new
only
number
me and
5,
Andy that thought that. So yeah, number
Ernesto
5.
de
now.
la Cruz.
Boom. Boom. So
Boom.
before we bring up the rankings,
Oh.
Andy has not been here.
Right. I've missed out on a lot.
And
What
he
were the
has
last 2
won
movies? I
his-
didn't even watch them.
He's won his battle with the
Cars
snakes.
3.
There were casualties on both sides, but we're happy that
Finding-
Andy's here.
Finding Dory.
Fine.
Just
I
to
want to
let you
give
all
my
know.
thoughts on Finding Dory real quick,
Go for it.
Tim. I wrote a little bit of a almost 30-second review type thing. Did you know that some sharks can fall asleep with their eyes open? Wish I could have done that while watching this movie. Finding Dory more like I find it boring. Enough with the whale
damn.
talking sounds. It's not funny anymore. It stopped being funny in 2003. Speaking of 2003, that was the last time a good movie was made. It was called Return of the King. Marlon and Nemo are very relatable in this movie. They're clownfish, and I'm a fucking clown for watching this. I would have rather worked for Ellen DeGeneres. This goes really low on the list for me, underneath A Bug's Life.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Damn,
Yeah.
you just roasted the fuck out of Finding Dory.
Don't adjust your glasses. Don't be proud of what you just did, you fuck. And then for Cars 3, do you have anything to say?
Pretty good movie.
Yeah, Cars 3, me and Andy both voted at number 11, but everybody else voted it lower, which means the number is lower. So the final new list so far is number 1, Up. Number 2, Monsters, Inc. Number 3, Finding Nemo. Number 4, The Incredibles. Number 5, Wall-E. Number 6, Toy Story 3. Number 7, Inside Out. Number 8, Toy Story 2. Number 9, Toy Story 4. Number 10, Toy Story. Number 11, Luca. Number 12, Ratatouille. Number 13, Finding Dory. Number 14, Monsters University. Number 15, Cars. Number 16, A Bug's Life. Number 17, Cars 3. Number 18, Good Dinosaur. Number 19, Brave. Number 20, Cars 2.
And by the way, I didn't think Finding Dory was that bad. I just wanted to really shit on it.
What? That was your
I just
actual
really
opinion?
like this movie.
I just really wanted to shit on it. But I do think it's wild that you all have Cars 3 this low. Like, this movie is definitely the most improved of any of these, and I think it should be way higher. Y'all are crazy. Crazy, I say.
Crazy
I
like a fox.
agree.
I'm happy Good Dinosaurs are real low. A terrible movie that it was.
What
Accurate
about
Raptors.
Yeah. What about Coco? I'm gonna start off. This is my number 1. I'm surprised that
Wow.
anything was gonna beat Finding Nemo. Surprised anything was gonna beat Monsters Inc. Surprised anything was gonna beat Up. But this, I really think that it does everything Pixar does at its absolute best. And the Joey mentioned it earlier, but this is the most beautiful one. And I think that the last couple we've talked a lot about the melding of reality, like the real looking animation and like still having character, and how Cars 3 did like a much better job than some of the other ones. But with this, I think that it's unmatched in terms of style and substance.
Let's go next.
I like this movie a lot, but I think for me, I'd put it at number 6, right under Wall-E, which is our rightful number 1. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I
Andy?
put this at number 1. This is it's one of those weird ones where what's the rewatch factor? Monsters Inc. I think is a funnier movie that I'd rather just kind of watch to lift up my spirits or whatever. But this movie is just so complete and has so much purpose. And they just did a banger of a job with the story and kind of making all those threads connect in a meaningful way that just didn't feel cheap or faked or whatever. So yeah, this is an easy number 1 for me, and I'm so happy that I thought it was as great as it was the first time.
I think it's hard for me to put anything above Up because I love Up so much, but I
So
think
good.
that this movie is way stronger in the villain department with Ernesto de la Cruz and how that all wraps into the story versus Munts and the Dogs. I don't think is as compelling of a villain. And the fact that the music in this is such a banger, I think all of that being said does edge it above Up.
Nick Scarpino.
Tough. It's tough. It's real tough. Because I'm with Andy like that. I think the rewatchability of like things like Monsters Inc. and Incredible is just more fun, but I do think this is just a far and away better movie. It's more complete movie. So I would probably put it at. I mean, I think it's better than Up, so I'd put it at number 1.
There we go. Number 1, Coco. You know the rest. It's 2 minutes. I'm not reading it
Lazy
again.
bastard.
It's the same list with Coco on top. Like, come on. Anyways, we are going to return later this week with the beginning of Scream in review. And then next week, we're in our final stretch of Pixar in review, where we are going to be doing Onward. And then the week after that, Soul to take us home. Until next time, I love you all. Goodbye.